All right. So I am going to start by just starting. That's what they say to do. They say that you just have to get started. So this is video one of my series for all the mistakes I made when I started a restaurant and still did $1 million a year. And this was in the early 90s. So I'm going to start by the number one biggest mistake that is made when starting a restaurant, and I made this mistake as well. Not as bad as some people did, but have. But probably half of the determination of whether you succeed or fail over the first year is related to your location. So if you do not pick a location that has enough traffic, accessibility, additional anchor, like another other businesses that draw people in. People are incredibly lazy, so they're not going to provide the extra effort that it requires to give you enough foot traffic to even give your idea a chance. So, um, and the other mistake that I made was I went into a building that another business had failed. And even worse is it was the same business. It was a not same type of business, but it was also a restaurant. So, number one, when picking a location, you have to have enough car traffic, enough traffic into the actual same parking lot that you're in, that you're choosing. So what other businesses are drawing in there? What times do they draw? And you've got to calculate those numbers and then be very conservative about how many of those people you think are going to give you a chance, especially when you're just getting started. Um, Second is the economic viability of the area. If the people in the area don't make enough money to buy your products, then you don't have a chance. You're going to fail. Um, and then thirdly, as I said, it's choosing uh, to a location or a building that another business went out of business in. So the smell of death is there. The failure is already on the building. Um, it starts by making sure that you have a good real estate person, commercial broker that's going to show you locations that only meet your criteria rather than what he wants to push on you because he might make money on that, or he does make money on it, but may make money unloading a location that's not a good location as opposed to one that is, where there's a lot of demand. Um, so the reason that this is tremendously important is because first picking the location and then making sure you don't overpay for the location and make sure you don't sign a lease that is so long that you're financially obligated for years and years and years and you can't pivot. So, um, like true story, first restaurant that I really went into, location was, made the mistake of going into a business that, was, it's kind of like a Hooters type knockoff called Melons. Great idea. And it had gone out of business. How does a business like that go out of business? You'd seem like you have demand. Uh, you know, you- it's like anyway. And there was not a strong anchor, so there was not another business that was a strong anchor. It was difficult to get into the shopping center where it was located. In fact, two businesses had gone out there. One was the Melons kind of Hooters knockoff, and the other one was a place called Gators, and it was exactly what it sounds like. They were selling gator meat, alligator meat. And so two previous restaurants had gone out of business. Went in there and overpaid for the location. It would have worked if we had not overpaid for the location, but we overpaid for the location, had a 5-year lease, so it was too long, was the lease. And yeah, so that's your lesson, first lesson. Location, location, location is 10 times more important in commercial businesses, restaurants, than it is in home real estate. 30%, well, at the most 30% um, of your overall revenue, or so the overall cost of operating, 30% of that, or your rent should not be any more than 30% of that. Every percent or every dollar that you can go below that is a benefit. But every dollar you go above that, you're diminishing your risk of success. So, or survival, not even success, survival. So that's my first lesson is picking location. Next, I'm really what I'm doing is I'm going through um, the budget, what a budget is, and that what that's going to do is it's going to tell you what decisions you have to make based on how it's going to affect your ability to operate. So location is 30% of your overall monthly budget or yearly budget, however you want to think of it. Um, you want to try to get that down to 25. And that's going to become obvious why that's the case in future uh, videos as I go through cost of goods, the cost of the product, and then I go through labor costs. So just kind of an overview. The budget for a restaurant is 30, 30, 30, and 10, equaling 100%. So 30% to rent, 30% to product costs, cost of goods, food, drinks that you're going to resell, 30% to labor, and then if you're lucky, you're left with 10% profit. Um, I've driven that up higher by getting a disproportionate amount of sales from beverages, and I'll go into that later too. But I think I'm trying to keep these at 15 minutes is what I'm trying to keep these at. I'm not sure where we're at here, but I will look after. So if you know somebody that is starting a restaurant or is having difficulty, you might want to forward this to them. So I'm going to really go into just about every situation and everything I did wrong. Um, Still did, tens of millions of dollars in sales. Um, but, I didn't have to go through such pain. And hopefully I'm saving you from that. My name's Anthony Priley. I am an entrepreneur. Um, I've been paid by my ideas and my work for myself for the last 30 years. So um, I'm not somebody who's just read a book or conceptually talking about it. I've um, actually done it. I know how hard it is. I've made over $100,000 a year. Uh, not every year, but consistently. Um, Alrighty. Bye bye.